With us today to analyze the 2018 races is Hartford Courant legend Rick Green, a good friend of mine from many, many years. Good to see you back here in the program.
To see you, Dennis.
Content director is your new title now, but it's been everything over the years.
Pretty much, yeah.
So what did you think of Joe Ganim? I mean, he's very confident. Are people telling you that he has a chance for an upset here?
Confident is right, aggressive, coming out swinging. He's probably the candidate from hell for the Democrats in that it would be a gift to the Republicans to nominate an ex-felon as their nominee for governor. That said, Joe is showing a lot more life than the endorsed Democrat, Ned Lamont.
In terms of retail,
yeah, just getting out
politicking.
there. He's really hitting Ned hard on the whole Greenwich millionaire, which is a phony issue, really, in Connecticut when you look at all the millionaire politicians that we have.
But isn't it difficult for Democrats to when in retrospect they were criticizing Tom Full and Linda McMahon, and the Republicans said, well, look what you're doing now.
Well, not only that, but Ganim's a guy who went to jail for coveting what rich people have, wine, shirts, cigars. So I'm not so sure he's the best guy to be making the criticism of Greenwich millionaire. And maybe we do need a millionaire, right? Somebody who's worried about the money. Seems like we've lacked that in Connecticut a little bit.
What do you think of this? I mean, some are saying it's silliness, talking about the number of toilets he has.
Yeah. I think it's ridiculous, honestly. I mean, when you look at, does the size of your house matter about whether you're going to be a good steward of Connecticut? I don't think so. I want to look at whether this person can look at helping the state get out of the mess that we're in financially and move us forward so that we're not always at the bottom of all these lists, whether it's companies leaving, young people leaving, poverty in the cities. And I'm looking for ideas and a plan.
And, historically, it's difficult to replace the party in power with that party, and particularly after a governor who is, by all accounts, unpopular in the polls. Yeah,
but boy, the Republicans certainly have an opportunity now, don't they?
They do.
With the unpopularity of Governor Malloy, the continuing popularity of President Trump. You can't deny that among the Republican faithful. I think that you've got a five-way primary. Any one of them could be the nominee, really, I think. And again, it comes back to who's going to be the one that articulates a vision for Connecticut, I think.
So Mark Boughton is the endorsed nominee for the Republican Party, and then we've got Tim Herbst. We have Steve Absitnik, who was kind of a surprise at the convention. He's a Westport businessman, former Navy guy who qualified at the convention, and then the two self-funders, Bob Stefanowski and David Stemmerman.
Right. So,
we don't really have a front runner, do we? There are no polls.
You had, I think it was Tim Herbst who said 30,000 votes could win this. Imagine that, 30,000 votes to be the Republican nominee. So therefore, you're going to see guys like Stemmerman and Stefanowski who are pouring big money into this. They're realizing that with a well-financed campaign, you might be able to pull this off when half of the electorate is on Cape Cod.
I know. August primary. August 14th is the day, right? In the middle of summer vacation.
Just getting people's attention is going to be difficult, let alone getting them to go to the polls.
And it doesn't seem like there's much of an effort to recruit new voters to register to vote. There's no big campaign to go out.
Well, I think these primaries are all about the party faithful. And that's why you see a guy like Ganim realizing if he can motivate a certain element of the Democrats, he's got a real shot.
Let's talk about the lieutenant governor race on the Republican side. There are three candidates. Joe Markley, Jamie Stevenson, the first selectman of Darien, and New Britain Mayor Aaron Stewart. What are you hearing about that race?
Well, you have someone like Aaron Stewart, who's like the, in the general election, would probably attract more Democratic voters than any other Republican candidate. She's young, she's kind of unpredictable, mayor of New Britain. I think Mr. Markley, who's a very affable, friendly state legislator with some very conservative views. I think that will come out as time goes on. And
he was the only one who voted against the pay equity bill, as I recall.
Right, exactly. And then Jamie Stevenson from Darien is kind of the long shot there. Who knows, right? But it seems to me like it's Aaron Stewart's race to lose.
And on the Democratic side, we've got Susan Bysewitz and Eva Bermuda-Zimmerman. I'm sorry. I was thinking about the Republican race for a second.
That's a really interesting race, this whole phenomenon of the disruptor candidate there we have with Eva, somebody who's come from nowhere, who's showing a lot of momentum, a lot of support among unions and the left wing of the party. And Susan, who is the endorsed candidate, who's also running side by side with Ned Lamont, represents kind of the old guard, and
Yeah.
here's this insurgent candidate coming in. That will be one to watch.
But
right
there are
there.
some that say that Bicewitz could appeal to more Republicans.
Yes, exactly. I think so. I think so, because you could have a very ultra-liberal lieutenant governor nominee, and
Union-connected, which
union
could...
connected, and a fairly liberal endorsed candidate in Lamont. So Bicewitz definitely attracts more of a centrist vote, I think.
What do you think about turnout this year? Do you think people are watching the governor's race right now, or is it just too early? They're like, whatever.
I think
too many
people like us are watching it, but no, I don't think people are. I think in the fall people will tune in. I think party faithful are going to be, out there this summer, but do you really think people are tuning in? I don't.
Yeah.
Even as much as the whole future of Connecticut is on everybody's front of everybody's mind, I don't see it as being a big turnout for the primary, maybe the general election.
I mean, you're one of those people, you've got kids of the age
Yeah.
who could be moving out of state, and that's one of the big issues people complain about. Why does everyone have to move?
Right. Well, exactly. And, I'm waiting to hear from candidates who are going to talk about, how do we make Connecticut more popular so that we don't lose as many college graduates as we do? How do we convince them to move to Hartford, Bridgeport, New Haven, give them a way to pay off their loans, go to work in jobs here, that kind of thing?
Yeah, and people losing their parents to Florida and things like that as well.
Millionaires leaving. Even the Democrats are recognizing that this is a problem, people leaving here.
What about, the attack of the millionaires by Ganem? Does that also, does it resonate with anybody?
Well, sure. I think it resonates among a certain population of Democrats, yeah. But, like I think as you point out, you got Dick Blumenthal, hugely popular Democrat.
Exactly.
Well, he's a Fairfield County millionaire. Both parties have millionaires.
Rick Green, we thank you so much for being
Sure. Glad to be
program.
here.
Look for you on the Hartford Courant. And finally, our flashback. Today, we went back to the late 1970s. Here's a promo campaign that you may recall. The Land of the Three. Have a great Independence Day. July 4th come up on Wednesday. We'll see you next Sunday.